Inshallah, I'd like to mention a parable which might give us some reflection, the thinking of the akhirah and to prepare for it. As alhamdulillah, we see many Islamic buzurgs who are attending the Jamaat, and regularly we see them performing their salah. But it is a duty upon us to invite Islamic brothers, like if, for example, if they have gone from the world, then what's going to happen to our younger generation. So with love and affection, we should invite the youngsters to the masjid. So when the buzurgs will leave, at least we'll have some people praying at the time of Fajr. Otherwise, there will be no one here to perform Fajr Salah. So this parable, there was a young pious man, and he was making a supplication in the court of Allah Almighty. Oh Allah, grant me blessings in my life. Increase my lifespan so I can continue worshipping you and remembering you. Now, what happens when someone departs from this world? The dunya makes you forget that individual. So after some moments, maybe months, maybe years later, that person is forgotten about. If you go to the cemetery, there's all over about 1,000, graves there. And if you look at them, a few of them people will be attending and making dua for that individual. But what about the rest of them? They have forgotten about it. They've forgotten about their death. So Allah Almighty granted this individual increase of lifespan for 1,000 years. So Allah accepted his dua. And his intention was to worship them 1,000 years in the barakah of Allah. This old buzurg, in the form of the devil, approaches him and informs him and says, Allah Almighty has increased your lifespan to 1,000 years. And he got shocked. And what does he do? He goes in sajda and he says to Allah Almighty, I thank you, you've accepted my dua. Alhamdulillah. There, that devil was burning in fire. I need to get this person off his worship. He's made the intention that Allah increases his lifespan for 1,000 years. I'm going to worship Allah for 1,000 years. This is my mission. And this is why I asked Allah. Now this buzurg was saying, why do you spend 900 years in your luxury, your life, your worldly life, and enjoy life? And when the last 100 years come, then worship Allah then. He was refusing. He said, no, I'm going to worship Allah for 1,000 years. Leave me alone. So he goes away, this old man, and he comes in the form of his friend. Now we need to start examining who our friend circle is. If our friend circle is that brings us close to Allah and invites them to the masjid, then that is a good friend circle. If there's people who are taking you to the clubs, who are making you smoke drugs, and to enjoy the luxuries of this life, chilling out with women, doing zina, etc. So his friend comes, oh friend, come on, enjoy life. Why are you going to worship Allah for 1,000 years? The remaining 100 years you can ask Allah for forgiveness, etc. He agrees. After so much attempts, the devil came in the form of his friend, he's accepted. So 900 years have passed in the disobedience of Allah, in enjoying life. Now he's intending that I'm going to pray and worship Allah for 100 years now. I'm going to do my best. But then his friend comes again, right? How many days in a year is there? 365 days? Yeah? And he says that in the last, you got 365 days. Okay, when it comes to the last day, one day, dedicate that day to Allah and do istighfar and tawbah. Allah will accept your tawbah. Enjoy your life. Do what you can. Enjoy life like the non-Muslims say. Enjoy life till your life becomes the end. Yeah? And then, when that last day comes, his friend in the form of devil comes again and says to him, you've got one day, you've got 24 hours in a day. Dedicate that hour in the istighfar of Allah. Continue what you are doing. Enjoy life. And you can spend that one last hour in the tawbah and forgiveness of Allah. And you can make your worship and do what you want to do at that time. Okay, he agreed. So last hour, घंटा final रह गया उसका. Zindagi end होने की. Because he had 1,000 years. Then his friend comes again. Now you're talking about hours. He was talking about the last minute. 60 seconds now of his life to end. And he comes and he says, his friend, in the form of the devil, he says, look, why don't you do the zikr of Allah? It doesn't take that much time to say Allah. Even if it takes you a second to say Allah. You know, you can still make istighfar. Last 60 seconds you make your tawbah. Okay, and go in sujood and, you know, make your tawbah and make istighfar. And inshallah, Allah will forgive you. That 900 and something and certain days of istighfar he's done, you know, I mean, enjoying life, right? So what happens is the last second, he still doesn't have that opportunity to make that tawbah, to worship Allah as he was supposed to do. The tricks of the shaitan. This is our condition, my dear Islam brothers. We have these umeedeh. We want to worship Allah. We want to do our ibadat. But the devil doesn't want us to do it. He wants us to fail. He doesn't want us to go to paradise. Yeah? So it's important, my dear Islam brothers, we learn from this parable. It's a mafhum that I've mentioned. This is what I heard from a scholar. Now every scholar has a different way of expressing, different ways of using different words, but it's something to reflect about. We ain't going to be here forever, right? Then make the most of it. I'm making istighfar and tawbah, and if you're missing your salah, your 5 daily salahs, make up for them salahs, right? Make up for the fast that you have missed in the month of Ramadan. And there's a lot of Muslims, even when the month of Ramadan approaches, they've missed a lot of their fasts, right? Deliberately. Yeah, and we have to be careful of this. So do give plenty of charity. May Allah Azza wa Jal forgive us and give us ability to prepare for the Akhirah. Today is Jum'ah. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. After the Sajra, we're going to recite the weekly Durood Pak. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us ability to send salutations upon the beloved and blessed Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Sallu ala al-Habib Sallallahu Ta'ala ala Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.